Cracker Barrel is losing it after an emergency meeting over the rebrand failure that has the company freaking out. Now, as you all know, Cracker Barrel is in serious trouble after a string of decisions that actually backfired. The company's rebrand has frustrated longtime customers, employees are worried about what comes next, and the leadership at Cracker Barrel is scrambling to go ahead and contain the fallout. Now, while Cracker Barrel has already started, making the changes, at least only with the logo behind the scenes, as well as the DEI and the woke messaging, many believe the damage is already done. So yeah, people are for right now enjoying the fact that Cracker Barrel is losing it after this emergency meeting and how leadership themselves are completely freaking out. All right. So the company itself isn't just, trying to tweak its image. You see, Cracker Barrel went all in on a massive rebrand, changing the logo, the store decorations, and even the furniture people associate with its brand identity. Authentic antiques are, being replaced with cheap, mass-produced decorations that's meant to look vintage, and rocking chairs that have been part of the chain's culture for decades, and they are being phased out. Now, instead of just connecting with their core audience, these changes alienated loyal customers while failing to go ahead and bring in the younger crowd they were trying to attract in the first place. Now, as you all know, this started long before the backlash became public. You see, the CEO of Cracker Barrel pushed the redesign despite repeated warnings from investors and board members. One of the strongest warnings came from Sardar Biglari, as you all know, a major investor and the owner of Steak and Shake. Biglari laid out his concerns clearly, warning that this rebrand would fail and even presenting a detailed analysis showing why. But as you all know, the leadership ignored his warnings back in 2024 and moved forward, locking the company into costly commitments that they couldn't escape. $700 million worth. Now, the financial gamble is still staggering, where Cracker Barrel spent $700 million on its redesign, more than half the company's $1.2 billion market cap. Now, that decision actually left them trapped, while superficial changes like removing the Pride page or altering menu designs are easy to reverse. Major rebranding contracts, interior renovations, and product orders are actually locked in. Now, Cracker Barrel can't simply undo these decisions without digging an even deeper financial hole. Now, the larger problem is that Cracker Barrel doesn't seem to understand its own identity anymore. Now, for decades, it built its success on Southern comfort food, nostalgia, and even a sense of community, and that's what customers came for. But leadership thought that, they needed to modernize to go ahead and stay competitive, adding upscale design touches and trendy menu options, offering alcohol and even brunch cocktails like mimosas made sense to the executives on paper, but it never connected with the brand's core audience themselves. Now, in chasing the new customers, they've also alienated longtime regulars. Now, many have actually complained about, declining food quality, smaller portions, and even menu changes that remove classics that the people love. Simply put, instead of cooking dishes fresh, more items are now being prepackaged and reheated. Families who once made Cracker Barrel part of their weekly routine are frustrated, and they're choosing to spend their money elsewhere at places like Steak and Shake. Now, it's not only about, aesthetics or even politics and stuff, but it's about Cracker Barrel misreading its customer base entirely. Now, for decades, the chain thrived by appealing to small town values and offering a sense of familiarity. Now, that loyal audience kept the company strong even when competitors struggled. But instead of just improving the experience for these customers, the leadership decided to go ahead and just pivot toward a crowd that was never looking to go ahead and dine there in the first place. Now, as you all know, the Pride sponsorships and DEI initiatives drew a lot of attention, but they're just one part of a bigger issue. Now, rather than just fixing real problems like food quality, service consistency, and pricing, Cracker Barrel decided to lean into surface level branding strategies that signaled to longtime customers that heritage and tradition were no longer priorities, simply driving away the very people who supported the company for decades. Now, reports suggest that Cracker Barrel has been holding emergency meetings behind the scenes across multiple locations over the last 24 to 48 hours, and well, actually a couple of days ago. See, these meetings are meant to reassure servers, cooks, and chefs as attendance continues to drop and tips shrink. Employees are being told that leadership is actually, working on solutions and that things will be stabilized. But many remain skeptical as regular customers stop coming in. And while Cracker Barrel hasn't publicly confirmed these meetings and stuff, several employees have actually described them as happening in real time, simply just, showing just how serious the situation has become. Now, one of the most confusing decisions was introducing alcohol into restaurants that historically never served it. You see, in order to make room for alcohol storage, Cracker Barrel just decided to cut space used for specialty menu items that families love, like frosted mugs, apple cider, and root beer floats. And those little touches set the chain apart for decades. Possibly, but they were stripped away to chase trends. You see, it was a move that completely missed the expectations of the restaurant's core audience. Now, simply put, the antique saw another sore point. Cracker Barrel actually built its identity around authentic, hand-selected pieces collected over decades, giving each location its own character. Now, as part of the redesign, leadership decided to go ahead and replace much of that with fake mass-produced decor meant to mimic the old style of Cracker Barrel. Regulars notice the difference immediately, and many feel like the company is erasing the history and authenticity that once made its restaurant special before. Now, the financial consequences are actually massive. With $700 million already committed, Cracker Barrel has almost no flexibility to reverse course without creating new losses. You see, they've signed contracts, ordered products, and even begun renovations that can't simply be undone. Yet sticking with the plan risks alienating even more customers and accelerating the company's decline itself. Now, what makes this worse is how many warnings the company ignored. Sardar Biglari, through his experience running Shake and Steak, understood the risks better than most. You see, he repeatedly told Cracker Barrel's leadership, the CEO, this would fail, laying out his analysis in detail, but the executives dismissed his concerns. That decision shows just how disconnected the leadership has become from both the investors and their customers. Now, the particular shift has broken trust, especially with customers. You see, Cracker Barrel actually built its reputation on predictability. People knew exactly what to expect when they walked in the door. Now, by changing the menu, redesigning the decor, and abandoning long-time traditions, they disrupted the very consistency that kept families coming back. You see, for many regulars, the restaurant they love just simply doesn't feel like the same place anymore. But now, Cracker Barrel faces an uphill battle to repair its image and rebuild its audience. Now, to recover, Cracker Barrel simply needs to return to their roots. Focus on quality food, authentic decor, and the traditional Southern atmosphere that defined the brand for decades. Now, without a major course correction, they simply just risk losing even more loyal customers, or have already lost them, who supported them through ups and downs, okay? But honestly, in the end, this is just another cautionary tale of a company abandoning the very identity that made it successful. Cracker Barrel tried to chase trends and ignore the audience that built its business. Unless leadership is going or realigns with the values and traditions that made the brand iconic, the decline will continue and the recovering the trust of its customers will only get harder. As a matter of fact, at this point, might as well say, as long as the CEO is there, that part is impossible. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Be sure to smash the like button if you enjoyed what shared in the video. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell for future uploads, notifications, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, peace.